it's time for our community moment. We do this every week, if you guys are new here, in which we invite a member of our community to come up and share something that they feel is important to them or something that they would like to share. Today we have Andy Leonard coming to speak, and to tell you a little bit about Andy, he spent some time in Woodstock, Illinois, Harvard, Illinois, both are outside Chicago. He currently works at Cerner as a systems engineer. And although he and his wife are relatively new to Kansas City, he enjoys seeing new things, eating new foods, and playing new video games. Please help me welcome Andy Leonard.
Can everyone hear me?
Keep talking.
Keep talking? Continue to talk. Test this
Do you
out.
turn it on?
Is it on?
Louder? Louder.
Is it?
Need to be louder. Okay.
There we go.
That's hard. I'm not great at being loud. Too loud? You got it?
Perfect.
Okay. Hi. So, when I moved out to Kansas City, I didn't know anybody. I moved out here for a job. I chatted with some people in my work group, never really connected with any of them. I didn't know the city, I didn't know any of the organizations or group out here. Oasis wasn't even here yet. So when Stacy followed me a few months later, we both didn't know anybody. And since I had moved out here for a job, I had that to take up most of my time. But with her not knowing any people and not having a job yet, you know, you can get a little bit antsy. So we started talking about getting a dog. I'd grown up with dogs. I had always had one in my life up until we moved away to Southern Illinois for college. And I missed having one quite a bit in my life. Stacy had never really had any pets during her life, but I guess I had sold her on the idea because she started really researching it and finding out what it would take, where we should get one, what all the different dog breeds were. She learned more about dogs than I probably knew then. And the slideshow behind me is just some pictures of our dog Z there. So she settled on a shelter, she drove out there, met all the different doggies there, and she found Z, whose full name was Ziana, but we decided that was ridiculous for a dog, and Z was much more fitting. We agreed she seemed like the dog for us, so we went together, met her, filled out all the paperwork and everything to take her home, very plain terms for what's really a remarkable event. At the shelter, she was a dog that was quiet and aloof, being a sea of chaos and noise and barking. Again, very fitting for us. This was our first time living in an apartment and our first time having a dog together, so we thought quiet and small seemed super important. She was so cute was a nice bonus. This was in October 2013, only a couple months after I had arrived in Kansas City. Z adapted super well to our home and to us. Even when Stacy got a job and Z had to be alone during the day, she seemed content to just nap and then hang with us when we got home. This was the first dog I raised away from my own family, and first as an adult, and Stacy's first ever, so we learned a lot and tried to give Z the best home and best experiences we could. We learned her personality, her preferences, what she liked and didn't like. She liked to meet every dog she saw, but only one at a time. She didn't like crowds. She liked to play tug of war, but didn't understand fetching in the slightest. She loved to climb around and explore, but didn't like to wander too far away from you. She would woof warnings at anybody that came through the door, but 5 minutes later, she would be your best friend and never want you to leave. Life went on. Over the next year, she added an incalculable quality to our life. We went for walks together, to dog parks, we cuddled, we played. She was much as a member of our family as anyone could be, more than just honorarily or symbolically. We actually mused about getting another dog sometime after we moved again. But about a week before Christmas, 2014, we lost Z forever. She got into some food, some chocolate, that we didn't think she could get to. She had never even shown interest in chocolate before. But she got into it, and she ate too much, and it caused her to have a seizure, and she died in my arms, actually. I pretty well just stopped functioning. Stacy held it together better than I over the next few days. Probably her experience working at the animal clinic helped her a lot here. And with her help, I started to feel a little more alive after a while. It was so binary. I could seem fine, even almost feel fine, but the slightest thing would just send me down into the pit again. When they're just a part of your everyday life, it's hard not to come across things that remind you of the fact that they're missing. And I have a very strong imagination, especially in regards to feeling or experiencing things, so it was hard to not feel it fresh all the time. But life goes on. I began to think about how hard it was hitting me. Everyone has different reactions, different levels of grief to losing a pet or a family member. I'd had pets come and go. A kitten we had when I was much younger died getting spayed. 3 dogs had come and gone in my life. This was the first dog I lost to something besides age, so that was part of it. I thought about it more. Z really had been like a child to me. Not a human child, she was clearly a dog. Maybe part cat even, she had some habits I was mighty suspicious of. But she clearly had her own personality, feelings, desires, needs, and emotions. We did not speak a common language, nor do we even share thinking patterns or perceptions of the world, but we understood each other in so many other ways that mattered. Did the fact that she's not human make her less worth feeling for than a family member of my own species? There used to be this perception that humans had the monopoly on emotions and thinking and understanding. In recent years, people have added more and more human traits to animals in children's media and just the everyday world. At the same time, more and more research shows how complicated our fellow life forms really are. We expected it from our cousins in the ape world, but as we start digging deeper, we see more emotion and more complexity in more places. And we sometimes see behavior that will put some humans to shame. A chimp that, when presented with a choice between shocking the fellow chimp and receiving food or not receiving food, will elect to go hungry for days on end. A rat that, upon being freed from its cage, will try to free other rats before making its full break or going for the nearby food. Countless stories of dogs rescuing people and other animals. And perhaps even more compelling, just as there are good people and bad people, there are good animals and bad animals. This greater understanding of animals, I feel, can teach us something important about compassion and equality and being human. All over the internet, there's pictures of unusual animal friendships, like pigs hanging out with dogs, deer hanging out with dogs, goats befriending horses, which is adorable, big predatory cats befriending everything from each other to mice to, again, dogs. Dogs are pretty much the universal friend, it looks like. But many of these friendships are so surprising because one of these friends should usually be eating the other, or they should be fiercely competing for survival. But we see these friendships, this compassion, flourish when the desperation to survive is taken out of the equation. There's a lot more involved than just that, but it gives a view of how different the world might be when people aren't so threatened by day-to-day survival, and we have the freedom to look at each other with as egalitarian a view as we do animals. Our lives, our world goes on. I want to leave this world a better place than when I came to it. Z did that for us, for me especially. She felt like my doggy soulmate, and that is coming from someone who doesn't believe in soulmates. I can never thank her enough for what she brought to our lives at a time when I really needed her. And this is why, despite the pain it brings me reliving her death sometimes, I'm so very grateful we were there in our last moments, because I know she loved us as much as we loved her. I can only hope that I will do as much for bettering this world in my whole life as she did in her too short one. If this speech inspires anyone over the course of the years to adopt an extra animal to take care of or be a little more friendly or generous sometime when they wouldn't have, it's only because of these that I'm even here talking, so that kindness would be attributed to her. Thank you.